action figure retrospective, or whatever we're going to call it. This is a new series that we wanted to do where we take a look back at some of our old toys. In this case, we're going to start off with the first line, the very first wave of X-Men action figures that came out in 1991. So we're going to take a look at each of these and see what we remember, and just share some information that we've learned from our own research. So let's get started. So as you can see, there are a couple of these guys who are not the original first editions, specifically Storm and Cyclops. The Cyclops here was repainted from his blue and white X-Factor outfit.
Yes, with the white stripes there.
Exactly, you can still see the lines where that X would go. The one that we had was broken.
That was my fault.
Yeah, we were being whatever 10-year-olds, and you had it and you threw it down
with great
so
force,
hard that it shattered and apart across the basement.
Yes,
So we managed to pick up all of the arms and legs, the two pieces of the torso, and this is well, it doesn't light up anymore, but you hit this switch and it lights up. We even got to see the insides.
We got to see the inside circuitry that allows him to do the optic blast light up effect, which again he can't do anymore. And of course, in 1993 they reissued a couple of figures, and this was one of them, and they repainted him with his probably more, I don't know if it's better known, but he wore more often the standard blue uniform, which you see here. And interestingly, he comes with this thing, which fits over, both of his fists. And it says on that figure, it says Cerebro Unit, which
is quite vague. You just heard the word Cerebro and just say, hey, that's a cool name for a device.
Made up. I mean, a Cerebro Unit fits over the head. That looks more like a cannon. And then, of course, the other reissue here is a Storm, who, when it came out, she was wearing her black uniform, her all-black jumpsuit, which she was wearing in the comics at the time. And then later on, and then a couple years later, they released her wearing this.
Which was much closer to her cartoon uniform.
Yes.
But still with the light-up lightning bolt in the middle, which kind of breaks up the ensemble.
Yeah, and they added this to represent her cape, which isn't even a full cape. It's just a couple of things. And, it looks like her light-up thing doesn't work either. I remember the one we had before in her black uniform, which we don't seem to have anymore, her leg broke off. These guys are so old that almost all of them either have broken or have some pieces missing in this case.
Yeah.
And when there's a third one that was reissued in the same wave, which is Nightcrawler here, and the Nightcrawler we had the first time, his tail broke off.
Yeah, so we ended up getting another one.
Yeah, they get another one, and unfortunately in the reissue he looked exactly the same. They didn't change colors at all.
He hasn't changed his outfit too much over the years, and everyone else had gone through several iterations. He pretty much still had the same thing going on.
They've experimented a few times, but okay, so what do we got going on here? He's got a couple of features. He's got the bendable tail, which is excellent. I mean, I think doesn't even the Marvel Legends version have the bendable tail?
I believe so. Yeah.
So that definitely works. And of course, you gotta be careful because it might break off. And he's got the suction cups because he can crawl on the walls like Spider-Man. You can stick him to smooth surface and like that, yeah. I think it would look better without it, but that's me. And here's a bit of trivia I learned, that originally Nightcrawler was the only one in the wave that was going to feature elbow and knee joints. And then they made the decision to give that articulation to almost all the other guys.
Colossus over here, who is probably the skinniest Colossus that ever existed. He's pretty much not that much bigger than the other guys. He comes with this gigantic looking thing that he's supposed to lift
the barbell to show off his super strength.
You see his arms are kind of not quite even, so it makes the barbell kind of slant, and also it's impossible, well, almost for him to stand.
I mean, you're not exactly going to burn calories lifting this thing, but it's still so heavy for him that it's hard for him to stand up straight while he's holding it, like in the...
He also got this very sort of aged, rugged sculpt to his face, which kind of portrays the character's more youthful persona in the comics, I'd say.
Yeah, and of course Colossus is another character who is mostly stuck to the same uniform. they would revisit his character in the action figure several times over the years, but he would almost always be wearing that outfit. So, and of course, we got, what X-Men, as we'll discover, what wave of X-Men toys would be complete without Wolverine? Just like in the movies. And he's got, it's getting closer, he's got kind of a Nicolas Cage thing going on there, doesn't he? You actually go outside in these things? And of course, his elbow joints have been sacrificed here for what is actually a pretty nifty feature for him, which is the retractable claws, which of course collapse into his arms, and then you just flick the switch and snickety, there you go. And like I said, these guys are pretty old, so we discovered that, yeah. But it's fine, it's basically just pops back on there like a He-Man figure.
Yeah. He also came with his mask, which doubled as a ring you can put on your finger.
Yeah, exactly. And we lost that one pretty quickly, and then we also lost his other accessory, which is the samurai sword, which goes in this hand.
Next we got Archangel, who, let's see here.
This is actually pretty cool. I mean, he's skinny, but he's skinny in the comics, so that's cool.
Yeah. You can tell this one's pretty worn. I mean, the tip of the nose is sort of,
except for the three that we mentioned, all these guys are the ones we got the first time back in 1991.
Yeah. See, I think we've pulled his wings up a couple of times.
Yeah. The wing, just like Wolverine's leg, the wings come off pretty easy. But that's actually convenient for easy storage.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the flapping motion still works, fortunately.
Yeah, and he also came with a couple of darts that shoot out of his wings, and and I mean, I remember I was annoyed because on the back of the card on the box, it makes it look like the darts are spring loaded, but they're not. They just slide in there, and basically I found that if you flick them like that, then they can go pretty good, and he stands pretty good, and I like it. And like the others, every one of these guys would get another action figure at some point down the road, some sooner than others, like Wolverine, of course. And I remember I've arranged them this way because they were arranged this way on the back of the car that comes with all the action figures. Because that was always very important to me growing up, because I was such a stickler for details. Is I always wanted to be arranged just like they are on the back of the card, and I always had to pose just like they're on the back of the card. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is that Storm comes with the lightning bolt here, which you can fit into her hand there. And what's handy is you can also use this for your Thor figure or whatever. So we got 6 X-Men heroes and 3 villains in this particular wave. And to their credit, they picked 3 pretty good villains to start things off. So first up, we got Juggernaut. He's the only one besides Colossus who has no elbows or knees. He comes with 2 features, which is the punching feature, which is activated by the trigger on the back here. And that's pretty neato. And then he comes with this device, which he can load onto his body, and he also has wheels on the bottom of his feet so that you can just charge him forward and ram things. So yeah, unstoppable Juggernaut right there. It's pretty good. And of course, now all these guys are pretty small compared to the figures that would come out later, so eventually they had to make a Juggernaut figure or 2 that just towers over everybody else. But this guy's basically the same height as the rest of the gang.
Next up we got Apocalypse, who took us a little while to figure out how to say that word when we were very young.
Yeah, because they didn't have any cartoons yet to tell us.
Yeah. So his main feature is that you can extend him and stuff, and just his head.
No.
I think that's it. Yeah, just those 3 joints. And then he's got this little staff that shoots a missile that isn't even spring-loaded, kind of like Archangel.
Yeah.
And this is a much slimmer look for Apocalypse than you would have later on. This is more or less how he looked when he first debuted over on X Factor.
Yeah.
So then they went with a more muscular, intimidating look for future versions of the figure.
And also the cartoon.
Yeah.
That's the main look on the cartoon. And then we got Magneto, and of course you got to have Magneto. And his main feature is, well, first of all, he had a cape, which we don't have anymore, and it was a cloth cape, which fit on there with a hard
I'm pretty
plastic
sure
ring.
Pretty sure it's dissolved by now.
Yes.
It's the same material that they made the old Batman action figures had their capes out of.
Yeah.
Had the same idea.
Yeah, cloth capes. And he's got the removable helmet, which is kind of nifty, although because this is an early one, it causes the helmet to look rather bulky on him. So to demonstrate that he's got magnet powers, they give him a few pieces of junk with little magnets in them that you can stick either to his hands or to his chest piece right here, and they've even enlarged the chest piece on his collar so that you can do that. Now it came with 3 pieces. We've lost one of them, and another one is missing the magnet now. So we still got the little thing here. So there you go.
Strange thing is that he has a pretty normal sized head. I think his head is even bigger than Apocalypse, but they made him a guy who has to wear a helmet, so it makes his head look even bigger.
Yeah.
Most future editions, they would drop the removable helmet, and it would just be one piece.
Yeah,
to make his head look more proper sized.
Yeah, there was the Age of Apocalypse one that had the removable helmet though.
Yeah.
But I prefer to just have him with the helmet on all the time. Which is nice because in the very next wave, which we'll get to soon, they did make another edition of Magneto right away that does not have the removable helmet. So yeah, that is the first wave of X-Men action figures from 1991. This is like when we first got into comics in the first place. This is where we just this is part of our portal into this universe, to becoming familiar with these characters and who they all were and what they could all do and so forth. So it was a very interesting time for us. But yeah, that's it for this episode, and we'll see you in the next episode, and we'll go over some more figures. Hope you enjoyed this time. See you next time.